You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey, Nerf herders.
You sure you want to go with that?
Hey, everyone?
There we go. More inviting.
Have you ever had a movie that you really wanted to love, but something holds you back?
Or one that you did love in spite of a flaw?
Well, I'm Case Aiken.
And I'm Sam Alisea.
And on Another Pass, we sit down with cool guests to look at movies that we find fascinating.
But flawed.
And we try to imagine what could have been done when they were made to give them that little push.
We're not experts. We just believe in criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Sure.
So come take another pass at some movies with us.
And every now and then, we can celebrate movies that did it on their own, too.
You can find us at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pass it on.
Welcome back to another episode of VHS Gems, the Geek Elite Media podcast, where we open up the treasure box of VHS films from our nostalgia-filled childhoods and deem whether or not they are the sparkling diamonds that we remember or if they're just dust off of coal. This is Jessica, and joining me as always is John.
Hello.
And we have today a special guest. So he's from the podcast Let's Rewatch, but he also is a novelist of the novel Space Trippin'. We have Pat Edwards with us today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being a guest. Our first guest for John and I. So.
Oh my gosh, this is a lot of pressure. I don't know if I'm up to that. Oh no, be funny. Okay, don't screw this up. Oh no. No, that's great. No, I'm excited to be here. Yeah, so we got connected through Mitch because y'all are part of the Geek Elite Media Network, and my show that I'm one of the co-hosts of, Let's Rewatch, is part of the Certain POV Network, and our two networks have something of a little friendship going up. I know Mitch has been a longtime listener of my show, Let's Rewatch. Actually, I think he was listening before I was a host of it because I'm not an original host.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a replacement host. It's been a couple of years now, but but I know our two networks are chummy, and there's been a lot of crossover. And I had reached out to Mitch saying, hey, I got some stuff coming up. I'd love to, if you got, any interesting shows, I'd love to jump in on one. And he brought up y'all, and I will jump at any opportunity to talk about like an 80s sci-fi or fantasy movie any day.
I'm here for that.
Oh, yeah. And we got, I think, is a good 80s sci-fi movie, which I actually had not watched before this. So I'm excited to talk about it as a new watcher. We watched The Last Starfighter from 1984.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was a great year for
I watched
movies.
it.
Have you watched it before, Pat?
Once, a long time ago. I was gonna say 1984, great year for people. I was born in 1984, so
Oh yeah,
dating myself. Excellent year. I'm biased, but yes, I have seen it one other time when I was a kid, and have not seen it since. There's a lot to talk. It's not the longest movie, but we got some stuff to talk about. I got notes. It's there's definitely some choices were made.
Yeah, a lot. It was, as a first time watch, it's not the worst 1980s sci-fi movie. I definitely understand why this, when I'm 30, is now the first time I'm watching this movie, though. Like, why it kind of flew under the radar for me.
Why it's not like just some top shelf classic that everyone raves about,
or even like a cult classic. I think the most I knew about this movie before going in was, I feel like it was referenced a lot in the Ready Player One book, and I had read that. I think that might have been where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a movie. And I feel like this movie is referenced a lot in a lot of geeky cultural movies and stuff, but I had never gotten around to watching it till now.
Which is very Inception-y of it, because this movie is just a movie of references of its contemporaries of film. This is just nothing but references. If you want to be super forgiving, it's a movie of homages.
Yeah, I could see that. It pulled from a lot of stuff that I've seen. And 1984, I think, was a huge year for sci-fi in general. I think most of the movies we've done for VHS Gems, they've been from 1984.
It's funny doing shows like this, we on Let's Rewatch, we always say 1993 is like our official year, like the official sponsor year, because I think it's the most movies by far. Jurassic Park was 93, and
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny how the way trends go with media, how there's just some years that just all these crazy movies came out, or all these that fit certain genres or certain podcasts.
Yeah. So you'd seen this before, right, John? Because you were the one who recommended it for our podcast with Pat.
Absolutely, yeah. This movie comprises the third in what I like to call my space exploration trilogy. Three movies that have nothing to do with each other, but the theme of just a young guy that ends up getting swept in like a space adventure.
Yeah.
So the other two we've already covered. Yeah, we've done Flight of the Navigator and The Explorers.
Oh, The Explorers.
Oh, The Explorers.
Yeah, so all three. Yeah, when these movies came out, and I was right at that perfect age, I wanted nothing more than just to be taken away in the spaceship somewhere and go fight aliens or something. So this one more so because it also incorporates the video game element, and of course I have just gotten my brand new Nintendo Entertainment System right around this time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is like I'm preparing for this. Like
That's awesome. Sorry, you just nostalgia bomb just exploded in my brain, my head, with Explorers. I'm thinking about the aliens, and then the one, like, I thought they were so funny as a kid, and fighting with their dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man,
that one was a trip. It started out. It just took a turn I was not expecting.
It gets wacky.
It gets wacky, but it was fun, and it was still a good time. And this is a lot of fun, and it had a lot more. I mean, I guess it's very early on CGI, and it used it a lot for what I felt the year. It was heavy CGI to me.
I thought I remember hearing something. It was one of the first, and that was part of their marketing. And I could be so far off here, but I thought I remember hearing that part of their marketing was, we're using computer graphics, not like that was like, now I feel like now we hear it's all practical effects. We're like, yes, please, thank you.
Yeah.
We're so tired of this like styrofoam CGI crap. At the time, I think it was the other way, where it's like, this is everything, all the visual effects are computer generated. Isn't that fucking wild? Or can I swear on this show?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, sorry. Should have asked. We're sailors on Let's Rewatch, so
okay. Yeah.
I know some people should have asked ahead of time. So
I should have told you ahead of time too, and I meant to, and I did not.
Okay.
I'm a sailor as well sometimes too, especially for very ridiculous films. So.
But I thought I remember hearing something to that effect, where they were really playing that up. Was, you're not going to believe how real these computer generated effects are going to look.
And it took me, like, watching it, I was like, oh, this is 84. Like, don't be so harsh on the computer generated. Like, but I was still like, wow, I was slightly impressed, because I was like, you know what? That looks like an N64 video game from like 10 years from when this film was made. So I was like, you know what? That actually is pretty good.
I got big video game vibes from it too. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It really, especially the mountain texture. It looks straight up out of, I think, Star Wars. The 1964 Star Wars
Jessica?
Squadron.
Yes.
That's
yeah. The 60, like, I don't know exactly that game, but it's funny you say that, because I was watching. I was like, I swear to God, I've played this game. I've played this video game, or like they stole these same files were used in a game in the mountains too. Like I've flown a spaceship over like mountains like this in some like late 80s, early 90s video game.
Yeah, and like the poof explosions with the white and yellow crackle at the end. I was like, this is like Star Fox and
that's it. Star Fox 64.
Yeah.
I think it's very Star Fox 64.
Yeah. I played the Star Wars one more because Star Fox I always had to borrow from a friend, but I can't even remember it. John, what's the Star Wars one I'm thinking of? Luke Squadron? Is that what it was
Rogue
called?
Squadron?
Rogue Squadron. That's
Rogue
what it was called. Rogue Squadron.
There was also an N64 Star Wars game, Shadow of the Empire, based on that book. It's like one of the more popular Star Wars novelizations.
That one was good too.
Oh yeah, I didn't get that one, but I got the X-Wing trying to take down the AT-ATs and failing at it miserably. But loved that game still. All right, but we could talk about Star Wars all day, as our listeners know. So let's get to The Last Starfighter. Anything you'd like to say, John, before we go into the plot of this?
Yes, so this movie was directed by Nick Castle. Horror fans will be familiar with this name because this is a friend of John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon, and he was Michael Myers in the first Halloween.
Ooh.
And he went off to become a director and eventually reprised the role of Michael Myers in the most recent iterations of the rebooted series.
Like he was the body, like the shape, or as it's called in the script.
He was the shape.
It's just called the shape.
Yes, he was the original shape, and he went on to become a relatively successful director. Some movies which might surprise you. He directed the was it Walter Matthau starring Dennis the Menace movie? The first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Which he did a really good job. Like that's one of my favorite early 90s movies, like around the time of like Home Alone. Did quite a few movies. The Boy Who Could Fly, Major Payne, the Damon Wayans movie. Then didn't really do anything for a good stretch of time. Did a few other things afterwards. But like I said, most recently kind of went back and strapped on the William Shatner mask to be Michael Myers again. I was about to say Jason, and I know it's going to get roasted by my horror fan friends.
Oh, man.
For saying that.
RIP your mentions.
Yeah, but just it's a weird trajectory for someone to have, to be an iconic horror movie like character, and then like, I'm going to do something else and kind of do really good at that too. Not like super crazy successful, obviously, because Last Starfighter is a bit of a cult classic. Wouldn't necessarily say that Dennis the Menace is up there in the Home Alone range, but not too shabby.
I mean, talk about VHS gems. I definitely owned the VHS of Major Payne and watched that a lot.
Yeah, that movie was that was peak Damon Wayans right there.
Okay. All right. I'll have to add that one to my list. So plot-wise, The Last Starfighter, we meet Alex Rogan, who is a teenager living in a trailer park with his mom and younger brother, Lewis. Yeah. And he's got the perfect girlfriend, Maggie, and just as any 1980s lead
and there are
needs
no
to have.
phones in this trailer park because all they do is yell at each other.
Yeah, all they do is yell at each other.
I have very small children. I have 2 toddlers and a 3-month-old newborn. And I got anxiety that opening scene because everyone's just yelling. Everyone's just constantly yelling at the top of their lungs across. It's like, stop yelling.
Stop yelling. Nothing.
It's not
noise.
that big. Walk over and talk to them. Or
It feels like a throwback to like an older time when there was like a small little village and everybody's in each other's business all the time because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, it actually was kind of a sweet little area to live in, I think. I mean, everybody was helping each other. They had a little community center.
Yeah, then
Probably the most
yes.
unrealistic aspect of this movie, even to this day, is the fact that everybody crowded around him and cheered him on just for
I
getting the high score.
disagree, John. He was the first esports star.
He was, yeah, that's what it is, and it's that tiny thing. So Alex clearly trying to get out of here to do something, go to another college. I don't think it's ever said what he wants to do. Just that
Just
he
get
wants to
out
go
of
to
this podunk
college.
backwater. Yeah, he doesn't want to
Yeah.
be targeting womp rants anymore. He wants to go off and join the academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we might as well rip that Band-Aid off. This movie lifted a lot. This movie,
Yep.
you can see some influences. You might, if listener, there's this little film franchise called A Star War, and it also is about the first original is about a young man who lives in this small town area, kind of in the middle of nowhere, who dreams of bigger things out in the world.
Yep.
Through some unforeseen circumstances, get thrust into like a major battle against the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to
and-
be fair, both of these are actually ripping off Arthurian legend, and that's made clear
True.
in two
Oh,
different
yeah.
scenes here,
Mhm.
because they do make a reference that the video game is essentially an Excalibur style,
Yeah.
I guess, project that the character Centurion,
yeah.
yes,
Centaurian
does.
or something. Yeah.
Centauri, the guy?
Centauri,
Yeah,
yes.
Centauri.
We'll talk about him. I have so much. I want to talk about Centauri a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We'll get to him.
Specifically from my research into this, apparently the writer was inspired by going into an arcade and thought, what if a video game was the sword in the stone? And getting the high score meant that you were the worthy one. And that was the entire impetus for this whole plot,
Mhm.
which Arthurian legend also is very much what inspires Star Wars and the hero's journey. You know, you got the elder statesman or wise character that ushers him into the world unwillingly, and kind of thrusts him into greatness.
Absolutely.
Yep. It really is a good example of hero's journey. I also would like to say that, like Star Wars, it is also a good example of what do they call it? Mary Sue. But they're not going to say it is because they're men and not women. So.
No, it's a Gary Sue if it's a man.
Oh, is it Gary Sue?
I'd say Larry Sue.
Larry Sue. So we do have a term for it now, but
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's
just naturally good at this Starfighter video game.
This universe's the force is video games.
Yep.
Are you really good?
Well, it's hand coordination.
Apparently. I mean, yes.
It's hand-eye coordination. Although there is a scene later on where I was like, use the force, Alex. Just use the force.
I mean, it was very I mean, it's there. I mean, and I 100% don't blame him. This movie was definitely, and John, you might have actual research, not just my wild conjecture to contradict this, and that's fine. But I feel like it's very, because 84, the first two Star Wars had come out, at least, if not all three.
All three have been out, yeah.
So yeah, obviously there was okay, we need to get in on this trend, this cash cow, and so I feel like, unless I'm wrong, like there's definitely, maybe not from the original creator writer of the script, but definitely the executives who greenlit it, right? We're like,
oh yeah,
because even the score, whoever the composer, they got John Williams light in there because it was very John Williams-y, the score of this.
Honestly, I feel like the score was the weakest part of the movie for me.
Really? The score was
Yeah, I felt like it just didn't really. It definitely was trying for some pretty epic feelings, but like after watching Krull, I'm like, there's some hits and there's some misses.
Did Krull?
We did.
Oh yeah, we did do Krull a couple episodes ago. Yeah, that hurt.
I'll listen to that one. Is it out yet?
Warned.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll look for it. I'll go back and listen to that.
I think that's the one I haven't gone back and re-listened to just because it was such a miserable experience overall.
How dare you? That movie's great.
It was a trip to watch. I could say that.
It was something.
There are, you know what's funny though? There are, if you take a deep dive into 80s fantasy or sci-fi fantasy, there are so many. Krull is entertaining, in my opinion, at least. It's like not good movie, but it's entertaining bad. There are a lot of bad movies that tried to replicate either Star Wars success or like the Conan movies success. There's a lot of very bad, very just bad. Not even fun to watch, like bad.
Oh yeah, there's some horrendous low budget sword and sorcery in the 80s that never quite got to there.
Let's talk about Alex Rogan, who's kind of a dick of a friend. He's really like his line about like, I think I'm gonna stick around here with you, watch you shine your truck, and go to city college with you all. It's like, oh, okay, elitist.
Yeah,
like you can be like, I have this dream and I want to follow it. That doesn't have to be conveyed in a way that
you don't have
like,
to be like, I'm better than you people.
Yes.
And clearly he's not, because he is rejected for the scholarships.
Yes.
Or loan or whatever it was that he was trying to get. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I think his loan was denied.
Yeah.
I didn't really find out for what though, but I think they kept it intentionally vague so it's more relatable.
I just imagine like a student loan.
Yeah, it probably was a student loan. But to me, I was like, there's no way they would deny somebody for a student loan because they want your life.
Maybe they had a shred of ethics at that time.
Maybe. I was like, I don't know.
I was like, oh no, he lives in a trailer park. We're never getting this money back.
Yeah, as opposed to, we can just own you for the rest of life. We'll still not get our money back, but we'll own you at least. And you can't even file for bankruptcy.
I think a college education was still kind of reasonable in 84 though. So it would even have been that much money back then.
The college education price went up in the early 90s, I think was when it started to climb, and it did a rapid climb when I was in, I think, high school or middle school. So around 2000, I think it did a rapid, doesn't even make sense climb. But that is neither here nor there because I am not a money expert. So, but yes, Alex plays a game called Starfighter, and it was the day he got rejected from the loan, he goes to play it in frustration, and he ends up getting close to beating whoever had the best high score before, because you're never going to find that out. And the whole trailer park comes and cheers, as you mentioned. And it's like, you are amazing at video games. That's great.
I can see the argument for that scene either way. I can see like that's a little ridiculous, but I could also see the argument where it's like, no, this is like their thing for this little community because it's like their one piece of technology.
Yeah.
And arcade games are pretty novel at this time, and it's like we have this cool thing and everyone does it.
Yeah,
we got nothing else to do.
Probably plays it. And he's just the best at it, and he wins, and everything seems kind of sort of happy. Alex didn't get his loan though, and then he gets a visit from Centauri, who is an alien that drives up in a DeLorean it has a different back. Like the front is definitely a DeLorean. It's a longer. It's a
sedan.
Yeah,
four-door. It's a four-door DeLorean.
I'm trying to think. What were the cars that were super popular with families? That car that everybody had.
The station wagons back then.
Station wagon. It's a DeLorean meets a station wagon. That's exactly what I thought it was. And Centauri basically is like, get in the car. And Alex is like, well, okay, I guess.
Which that whole thing, like, yeah, get in. Good job. It's a surprise. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, strange man.
He meets, sitting in the car next to him is a man in the shadows, and he introduces himself as Beta, I think. That's what it was. Beta. They shake hands. Beta. Zap happens. Beta leaves the car. And Centauri drives off really fast, going 308 miles per hour.
I just love, I think Robert Preston is the actor. This was, I think, his final performance.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was. He passed away 2 years after this.
Centauri. I like this character. I love this. He's a big huckster energy. It's like, yeah, he's on the good guy's side, but he's a hustler. He's
Yeah, he's
everyone
doing it for the money. Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone who's on the good guy's side has to be pure of heart.
No.
I found him enjoyable to watch, his performance.
Yeah, I quite liked it, and I like that moment after they take off and they're in space and Alex is freaking out and Centauri is just like taking off his face with like a cloth.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yes, that's exactly like what it's like when I take off my makeup at the end of the day, just a face in a cloth. Oh, minus the eyeballs, so that was a bit much. Which I'd like to note, this was not the movie that I thought I would get a slight jump scare from, with Beta turning into Alex. And that reveal under the blanket, and it looked like something out of John Carpenter puppetry. Yeah. I was like, oh, what is I was not okay with that.
Yeah, that was kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it was just pussy skin. It's like it's gonna be forever in my mind and probably in my nightmares tonight. So
now, this was before the advent of PG-13, so they did have to walk a fine line. Apparently, they had to cut some stuff that was potentially too gory or frightening, so it was toned down a bit. But this one made it through, apparently.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't gory because it wasn't bloody. Because I think the one thing with gore is that it has to be red blood. And pretty much all the blood in this was either green or blue because it was alien species that were bleeding and not humans.
Well, there's a brain exploding sequence that happens later.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Exploding, melting.
That's
a very uncomfortable scene.
Yeah, that one supposedly, according to what I've read, looked like the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it looked a lot like it.
They took that out. Which, by the way, I believe that scene and the villains from this movie are the direct inspiration for a couple of things that we see in Galaxy Quest, which mostly spoofs or lampoons Star Trek movies, but it definitely looks like it kind of dips a little bit into other sci-fi as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a moment. There was like an alien. I was like, hey, that kind of looks like and reminds me of the aliens from Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, it looks like Sarek and with the little glass thing over the eye. And
yeah. Well, that just made me think of Dragon Ball Z more than anything, which wasn't really my thing, but it's the one thing I always remember from it.
So he gets whisked away, right? He gets whisked away by Centauri, and we go to Rylos is the name of the planet, right?
Yeah, Rylos, the pretty marble planet, which they don't call it Lightspeed, but they Lightspeed to it. And it was like they were trying really hard to not look like the Lightspeed from Star Wars, which I appreciated. And he basically finds out eventually that he is now a Starfighter to go against the Kodan, there you go. Yeah.
Which, how do we feel about the Rylands design aesthetic?
I feel like they wanted to come up with a look for it. Yeah. And they got one. Everybody just kind of looks like they're old people.
The Baldonians, the male pattern Baldonians.
Yeah. They're going bald.
Reminded me a lot of some of the characters from Babylon 5, where they basically just have crazy hairdos. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's how they're defining their alien species.
It very much is every species can fit in the same uniform in the same way, but they all have different heads and hands. That's like the squid guy, same build, same everything, just squid head and squid feet and squid hands.
I mean, yeah, I'm so guilty of that in my writing because I'm like, my writing is like comedy sci-fi. So I'm like, don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Yes, there's lots of humanoid, vaguely human-shaped aliens because I'm not going to sit here and describe for 3 pages some incredibly new. But no, I get what you're saying. It's like, that's convenient.
Yeah. No, I get it too, because like I also write. I don't have anything published currently, but when I did my first sci-fi novel, I was trying to read like quantum physics books to figure out space travel, and I had to throw myself back and be like, just say that they get from point A to point B this way, and nobody needs to know that that's possible or not.
You know what? If the people out there that are doing that work, that are doing like the super hard physics sci-fi, universe love you. More power to you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I respect the work. If you're talking about my physics are so soft in my writing. It's so like it's
just like. And they have artificial gravity. How? You don't need to know. They have artificial gravity. Just
look, here's a dirty joke. Don't worry about that. Like,
go away.
But he gets there, right? And he's one of the chosen few to be. Which, this movie was enjoyable to watch. I can't let it go. I have to bring up something for topic, and I'm all about like, shut up, just enjoy the story if it's a good story. Like, I'm all about that. Like, don't. However, the underlying conceit of this movie is a tad broken, in that it's one thing if it's like let's take Star Wars with the Force. It's this like unknowable power that certain people have.
Yeah.
The gift, as they call it in this, is the ability to shoot space gun good.
Yeah.
But it's like if your fighter ships are that hard, you should just make fighter ships that are easier to pilot then, because the other side didn't have a problem doing that. They got a whole armada. Like
plot hole. Mm-hmm. When we run into Beta later on, somebody says, "Why don't you pilot the ship?" And he says, "Well, synthesoids aren't allowed to." Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Though
have drones or something put in there. Like there's some things in there that aren't made clear.
Yeah, we have this amazing technology, but we're still having to recruit random people throughout the universe.
No. Yeah, it's almost. Are the Rylans problematic because it's like defend our society and all the Starfighters are not Rylan, are different species.
There's not a single group of not Rylans, which my other thing was
they are conscripting slave warriors to fight their war for them.
Yeah, feeding them this glory to the Empire type.
It's propaganda. It's propaganda.
The Rylans are the bad. Okay, the Rylans are the real bad guys. Zur is the real hero. And the Kodan. The Kodan are the liberators.
Yeah. Our bad guy Zur. Well, Zur is a Rylan. He is the son of the king. I don't even know. King Rylan. And he's rebelling for reasons. I guess
that could have been why. He could have just thought what we're doing to these poor people, this subjugation is like immoral.
Oh, we're talking about Zur now? Because let's talk about Zur.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Zur. So, well, his introduction's pretty great because we have the leader of the Rylans, who is like Space Colonel Sanders.
Yes.
Who gives this stirring speech. But I didn't think about that till this right moment. I just love it. There's this room of Rylans shouting like victory or death, victory or death. And it's all non-Rylans that they've basically like kidnapped that are going to go fight the front line of their war. It's actually really it's
really
weird.
They're mostly, they're vaguely humanoid shaped, but they look less and less humanoid, especially in the face. Mm-hmm. Like you have the Squid Man, you have this weird thing with like chameleon eyes sitting next to Alex at one point. You have of course,
Greg
Navigator.
Yeah,
who looks like kind of like a reptilian
with a turtle shell on top.
Yeah, it looks like a Sleestak kind of.
Love him too.
Yeah.
Him and Centaur are my two favorite characters in this movie.
Yeah, Greg is awesome. Yeah.
It definitely seems like Greg kind of reminded me of Enemy Mine. You remember that one?
Oh my gosh, yes. That is they definitely...
Louis Gossett Jr. in that one?
Mm-hmm. Yes. The design is very much, yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting sci-fi movie too, because it's more of a like exploration about like genocide and racism, basically.
Yeah.
And just in the
And so-
guise of a sci-fi movie.
So yeah, Emperor Colonel Sanders gives his
Yep.
speech,
And then the
it's
head
interrupted.
pops up Zora's head just pops up out of nowhere, like a boy who had gone away from college and is now rebelling against his parents because he has learned things of the
Yes.
world. It's the only way I would take that. And then
Which
he
I
tortures
love.
somebody, but
How is he able to do that? Just like project. Is there security that week? There's cybersecurity. He's able to just project a giant floating head of himself into his enemy's headquarters.
there is no explanation to any of the technology in this because I don't think that ever happens ever again. There's no hailing the ship ever again or anything. It's just Star
whatever
Wars
serves
had
the plot.
holograms.
Yeah. I mean, at one point they say, "Oh, make sure you turn off all your power because they're searching or they're in scanning mode or something." So they just turn the lights off. I was like, "Is that all you need?" Like I don't know.
It's so Zura is very. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, classic villain. But the actors, I feel like he's scenery chews like a mother. He's just super over the top, and it's very like petulant child. Father, I'm coming to get you, Daddy, and I'm going to show you. I've got my own armada. I don't need yours.
Yeah.
Type stuff.
Yeah.
And now we know stakes, right? Now we know what the stakes are established.
Yep. I'm going to take over because I don't like you and I don't need you no more. And you don't even consider me a son no more. And also, I found your Rylon spy. I'm going to melt his brain.
Which, in the beginning of his speech, I thought was interesting because they were they almost did the whole villain thinks they're the good guy thing, which is great. Do that because he's like, I'm doing it for the good of all our islands, Father. But it's like your argument for you're actually the good guy in this equation kind of goes out the window when you like horrifically murder someone on live stream on Twitch on Space Twitch for everyone to see. Like it kind of hurts your argument that you're the good guy. Like,
yeah, it was just all it was the movie going bad guy, hate him. Just there you go.
I'm doing what I do for the good of all our islands, except this one guy who I'm going to painfully and horrifically do a murder on right now. So all our islands except this guy, except Jerry. Fuck Jerry over here. He sucks. He's fine.
Yep, pretty much exactly how it is. And this is when Alex is sort of like, I'm not okay with this. I did not sign a contract. I'm not.
Which is so reasonable, right?
Yes. Very reasonable. I have one issue with this whole scene, though, is when the Starfighters are sitting, they're lined up per alien species, front and back. Nobody is sitting in front of Alex. So I was like, was there going to be another human here with him? Did they cut it out?
Oh.
Because I looked
because it's like the same species.
The same species are sitting front and back to each other. Was that where Greg was supposed to be sitting, maybe? Or was Greg there? I didn't know. I was like, something's missing here, and they never explained why it's missing there. But there it is. But after that, Alex goes to Centauri, is like, you need to get me out of here. Yeah. I need to go home. I'm not doing this. I'm not dying for these people. I don't even know what's going on. And
again, very reasonable reaction. Yeah, because again, he did not tell him where they were going. It'd be one thing, like.
Yeah, but then again, you just don't get in a car with someone you don't know, though. Especially a DeLorean car.
Yeah,
it's
or get in a car that's
actually that would get me in the car if somebody pulled up.
Like, we know how to kidnap John. Then just get a DeLorean. John will hop right in.
It doesn't take much, yeah.
So Alex flies back to Earth with Centauri, and as that is happening, Xur sends a meteor strike.
are they call it the meteor gun? So is it just shooting like round bombs?
It looked like they were shooting giant rock meteors with bombs on them, though, because they had little flashing lights.
Yeah.
And then...
So they...
Yeah.
Just... I like the exchange, though. The initial exchange with Zur and the Kodan. Is it Krill? General Krill or something? Or Admiral Krill? When there's kind of that like power struggle with them, where it's like, I'm in charge of the Armada. Your Emperor gave me control.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the orders. And also it's like, bro, they're totally going to betray you at some point, right? Like, why would they they're just using you to get access to your peoples, like your people's nation. And there's no way that they're going to let you still control them after they win.
There were more of them than there were of him. He didn't even seem to have any security detail.
And then,
well, he did have the scepter that wasn't a scepter.
The scepter. Let's talk about the scepter. It's like he loved it, and then he's like, this isn't the same. It's got its own tricks. It's like cool 6-inch spring knife, bro. Like I'm all the way over here.
I've got a knife.
Which it never came into play. The scepter had nothing to do. He would just flourish it around whenever he was like being over the top dramatic and barking orders or complaining about stuff. He was just waving this very non-practical bauble around. Like, is the knife going to do anything? I thought he's going to fight Alex hand to hand and stab him, or nope.
Nothing. Just look at this prop. It's got a pointy end.
I think he hit somebody with it. Like
he does, and there is blood. There is blood on it too after he hit somebody, but that probably was one of the cutouts they did because it didn't look like he stabbed the person.
When they're like taking him away and like the ship gets rocked and he like takes his move. He
does use the scepter as a weapon eventually.
I mean, it would have been better if it like was like a legit weapon. I don't know, it shot like a laser beam that disintegrated you, and
that
he could like
pretty cool.
The general mouthed off to him, and he's like, you know what, fuck you, and zap, and like
Darth Vader choked him, but with the scepter kind of thing.
But like with laser scepter, and he's like, anyone else want to question my authority? Then it's like, okay, it makes sense. But he just basically had a toy that he was swinging around.
Yeah, he was a little boy who didn't know what he was doing, and just
so this is he's very much spoiled kid, like, I'm gonna show you, daddy, I'm gonna get my own space army, and then you'll love me. Zur did not get hugged a lot.
Yeah, he did not. We're dealing with some childhood trauma here that was not addressed by therapy.
Can't confirm that. We'll do that to you.
Oh, John.
I'm coming to find out I'm inadvertently using this podcast as a way of dealing with childhood trauma. It's all coming out. It's all from that time frame. So I was like, oh yeah, that's also what was going on during that time.
Yeah. I did it. Oh man, virtual hug. I did a quick scan of IMDb trivia. I saw they offered that role of Zur to Robin Williams.
Of Zur?
Yeah, of Zur.
See, I feel like he would have made a great Greg because there was something of Greg in it that made me think of Robin Williams just a little bit.
So good. That'd be so good.
I feel like if Robin Williams did Zur, though, that would have been an entirely different character. Still would have done the same things, but it would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm. The campiness would have been like, it's campy and over the top as hell, but I love every second of it, and I want more injected into my veins.
Yeah, like I would have ended up rooting for Zur. I'd been like, yeah, he does have his reasons for being this messed up. But yeah, there was something about Greg's laugh that made me think of Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
It's very boisterous.
Yeah,
Greg rules. Yeah, I like Greg.
Greg was the best. So as Alex is going back, there is another traitor within the Star Fleet. What was it? Starfighter
Star
base.
League. The Star League.
Whatever. The guy with the little accountant visor, green visor thing that makes me think of accountants. And he basically shuts down the defense lasers. So which here you can see that they do have some sort of automated turrets too. That you could probably also put on a ship and not need a person to shoot. But he turns us off. The meteor strikes Starfighter base, and there's only one Starfighter left. One Starfighter ship left. I can't. What did they call the Gunstar? That's what it is.
Gunstar, yeah.
Gunstar. One Gunstar left. Greg survived, and the last Starfighter is Alex, and he is
No way.
That's
Didn't
a
see that coming.
surprise.
But yeah, so while that happens, though, Centauri takes him back to Earth, right?
Mhm.
And his spaceship breaks down, and they have their little like heated conversation. I pinged that because Centauri dropped some real truth bombs during that conversation. I love his line
Yeah.
when Alex is like, "I'm just a kid. I'm just a nobody from a trailer park," and he's like, "If that's what you believe, then that's all you'll be." And I was like, "You know what? That's fucking right. You're right.
That's a
You
great
gotta."
line. Yeah, but then
Preach.
he follows it with the Chris Columbus line, and you're like, oh, okay.
I was like, oh dang! Literally in my notes, I'm looking at it right here. It's Centauri with a truth bomb, and then literally it's like, yeesh. Columbus reference doesn't hold up like so well.
Right, bros want flying just to be for birds. It wasn't Christopher, it was Chris Columbus, and that's what threw me off. Did Chris Columbus say no to taking a journey? I was like, wait, what?
Like,
that's it. That's the only two people we reference. Like, there's a couple other people we could have maybe like Boudica or something. But
yeah, no, I wrote that down too. I was like, oh, okay, that's.
But I do like the line, like, you're only gonna be what you think you're gonna be, kind of thing. Like, you have the chance to be something more, and it could lead to your death, but honestly, so could anything that you do, really. Might as well go out with a bang.
What did you two think about the beta unit stuff?
Well,
so I go ahead, John.
I know for a fact that a lot of that was added in post-production.
I saw that. That's what I was gonna say too. It's like, I saw.
Oh, really? Is that why his hair looks kind of different?
Yeah, it's a wig because he had cut his hair. They did it because of basically it needed more comic relief, and I guess the test audience liked those moments and went with it. I could have, as a female viewer of this film, could have done without that whole weird make-out scene and tongue in the ear language. I was like, what is going on? Why is this happening?
I think that, well, from my understanding, test audiences really liked the beta, so they went back and added more scenes with him. I would have been fine without that. Like, it was weird, some of the stuff. Like, the hair did throw me off, but I mean, when I first watched it, that wasn't really something I noticed. That comes later.
Yeah. I didn't mind with the where his head's off and Lewis wakes up. He's like, "Oh, you're just having a bad dream." That was fine. And then, but before that though, the assassin alien, the first one shows up.
Yeah, the first assassin shows up, and
like hammerhead looking face.
They got kind of lazy with some of these names. It was like, that's Zan. It's like, okay, that was first thought in the writing room. You all didn't. You're just like, I don't know, it was Zan. Cool,
Zando
done.
Zan.
Let's go get lunch.
Zando Zan is coming for you, and she just has eyes set off to the side, and
it doesn't really make sense too that just because he walks in front of the Starfighter game, that somehow decloaks him, and it exposes who he really is.
That was confusing. I didn't know. I didn't quite get. I was like, "Why? What is happening? Why is that happening?"
I was like, "I don't think this is necessary."
It's Centauri. Centauri is a genius, guys. He set up a special
it's just
thing
in case this ever happens. Here's a way to know that aliens are going to be approaching this.
Also,
he's that smart. He's the smartest character in the movie, guys.
We're led to believe that in all of planet Earth, this is the only Starfighter machine, apparently.
Well, it was supposed to go to Vegas, so and it somehow ended up at this trailer park.
I don't know that it was the only one. I thought he made I thought he said like he when he was like when they were kind of berating him, was like, you Earth's not on our approved, and he's like, do you know how long it took to make all these to make that game? I got the impression he made a bunch and put them all on Earth, and Alex was just the first to win the game,
which is pretty impressive, given that it was the 80s. Like, I feel like somebody would have won the game as well by now, and that would have taken the seat.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm
Starfighters.
thinking. Like, I think that like this might have been the only machine on planet Earth, and because it was sent here by accident, and he was just playing it all the time, he just got really good at it. But like, we probably could have had like a whole army
Yeah.
of humans if you just
Again,
had one like
go
a
back
very
to the Rylands, and it's like, instead of looking for the chosen ones, have you tried just having your people practice a bunch with the ships? And maybe they'll get good also. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's just like muscle memory, reflexes. You know, it's not
it
like
just, yeah.
he doesn't look like he's doing anything that requires like superhuman concentration or anything. Like he really is just leading
He's not
the
even
shots.
flying it. He's just
Yeah.
shooting.
It's
He's
on
just a
rails.
gunner.
Yeah, it's a game on rails.
Yeah. It's just
The whole conceit though is just like, I don't get it. It's a spaceship. There's as you established, you have a whole interstellar society of people that fly ships, and
but only one Starfighter base. Put all your cards in one little area. Just
I get the answer to this question. I know the answer. It's budget, right? It's money.
It's money.
Why they definitely didn't pull off the scale of like, we're an intergalactic society of hundreds of planets.
Yeah.
It's like, but we've got a single defense force of 12 people.
Yep. 12 people that we have tricked into believing that they are
Well,
the best.
yes,
of the
12.
best
I
with the
mean,
propaganda.
skipping ahead a little
12.
bit to close to the end, though, we do have that one matte painting where it looks like there's an entire planet that's like watching the celebration of the victory.
Maybe they're just a really elevated consciously society, and they're like, well, we don't feel the need to, we only attribute like 5% of our budget to our military defense spending because we're not crazy war hawks.
We don't want to upset the people. We don't want to have to do a draft, so we're going to convince all these other aliens that they need to be fighting for us.
The betas are too expensive to produce, and like regular mortals are more expendable. That's why they don't put the betas in the Gunstars.
Well,
I feel like
it's also I'm gonna go slightly historical, but it's also like military recruiters were always off of the docks in New York, getting those migrants coming in, so they didn't have to get the American or already American children to be drafted into the war. They would get as many migrants as they possibly could to go over the war. That's what it kind of reminds me of reflecting on it. It's a lot of that big higher society, like, but we don't want our children going, so we're going to go ahead and get these people that want to live here. Well, they're going to have to defend us if they want to live here, kind of thing.
It's like Earth wasn't even part of the Union, and they were like taken from their population.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that was clearly illegal, but they were also clearly okay with it anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's just, it just cracks me up how there were no Rylands in the Starfighter.
None. Not a one.
I feel like it's an easy fix too. Like, as like a writer, like you make it so they have some defenses, right? And they've been fighting this war and they're kind of beleaguered. They've found like these 24 ships from an ancient civilization that's long gone, and they're incredibly powerful but incredibly difficult to control, and the Rylands didn't make them, but we found them, and they were great tools from from civilization from 10,000 years ago. And we're trying to find people that have the gift to be able to, you have to like psychically connect with these ships, and then they're some of the most devastating defensive weapons in the universe if you're able to like link up with them, and so few are, and that's why we're looking for those that can do that. I don't know, it's just weird that like we the Rylands are building these fighters, but we're not going to fly them. Immigrants are going to fly them.
Pretty much. Like, you guys are going to fly them. You're going to test them out for us.
They're also pretty they look pretty cookie cutter. It doesn't look like they could take into consideration the different physiologies of some of the aliens. Like, how's Tentacle Man supposed to pilot that
They
thing?
just shove all his tentacles into the 2 sleeves and like form like wrap like take like 4 tentacles and put them in this one, take another 4,
It's
put
like-
them in this one, shove them in there, make an arm out of it. Could be, yeah, I know it's pretty. They're asking him to defend their world, and it's like y'all couldn't accommodate our boy here and like get him like his own like 9 sleeved jumpsuit. Like
No,
that's
they're
shitty.
all wearing the same thing, the same
Yeah.
style.
Like, I could see him fumbling trying to initiate the Death Blossom, but his tentacles can't like hit the little switches.
Yeah, but okay, so eventually Alex, after finding out that these people are going to go after him the rest of his life with the Zanduzans assassins, he agrees to go back into space. And Centauri gets shot too. So we get a good heroic moment of our seemingly not quite a gray good guy, I guess, is what Centauri is. But he will do the right thing in the end and get in the way for the bullet for the last Starfighter. And Centauri does get him all the way back to the Starfighter base that has been destroyed. They run into Greg, and Centauri dies. Which,
That's what we think.
or
that
so
scene
we
was kind of
think.
funny. He's like, do you have my? Did I get paid? Do I have my money? And then it's like,
And they're just
the
like
earnestness of Greg.
piles
it's a
of it.
fortune.
It's
Yeah.
fortune.
You
There
get
are
all the money.
piles of it. And it to me it felt a little bit weak writing though. Like it was funny, but I was like, I should be feeling things, and I'm not feeling things at this moment. I am kind of sad I don't have the comic relief of Centauri.
I didn't
but
believe he was dead for a second.
yeah, I was like, huh, but then he didn't come back to life, and then I was like, okay, now we got to get in this Gunstar. It's like something out of an anime. Gunstar ship.
Okay.
We gotta go in this Gunstar ship because you are the last one.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You're going to be the hero. And Alex is clearly not okay with that, but he also is kind of stuck anyway.
They really shot themselves in the foot if they were going to try and make this a franchise too, by the way. Like, how are you going to, you already said it was the last one. Like,
Well, no, it ends with them having to rebuild, and that's why he goes.
no, I'm being,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They said it was the last.
I said it was the last. It's never the last. It's always going to be.
I mean, I think they wanted a franchise because they had Zurg get away.
Yeah, Zer does get away in the end, and I was like, oh, they're going to do a sequel eventually. And then and you get that optimistic shot of the little brother starting to play the game as Alex is launching. We're so skipping to the ends, but as Alex is launching to the sky, you get the one very decent shot of a silhouette of a child playing an arcade game.
Yep.
Smoke behind him. Pretty neat.
I'm already thinking sequel titles. The next one would have been called Zer Strikes Back. And then the third one would have been Return of the Starfighter.
Return of the Starfighter.
No, the second was, no, wait. Actually, sorry, that wasn't the last. Nah.
Actually, no, that
I
wasn't
was
the
like, oh, there's one more.
Yep. The
one
Starfighter
more.
awakens. Just
And then the third one is like the truly. So we swear the last one this
we
time.
swear.
Y'all, we swear. Like,
This is
unless we make a ton of money, then we'll totally. This is all the title. This is all. Everything I'm saying is all in the title. Unless we make like a boatload of money, and then we're totally gonna keep cranking these things out.
Yep. But he goes back and he gets his first Starfighter fight, I guess, which initially it's like, oh no, he's not doing great, and then boom, he kills 5 in a row. Mary Sue moment. He will forever be successful from now on against an entire armada. Not even come close to death once in these scenes. Really?
Yeah.
Because other than when they kind of lose power, but it's not like they were going to die. It was a planet that would have died.
I
I
didn't.
guess. I don't
Back up a little bit. So there's like he basically has like 3 encounters, right?
Yeah.
While he's out there, he's got like this initial one and like a secondary one, and then the big one.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't quite get him being all pissed at Greg after the first one. Because
Yeah.
it's like, well, yeah, what did you think you were coming out here to do, my dude? You're coming out here to engage in combat. Like, I don't.
He's more pissed he was, I guess, alone now with it.
Yeah.
But I was like, but you were alone when you played the video game and you managed to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
You've technically already done this. And this should be even easier because it actually moves with you and has even more sensors. So, I mean, you should be fine. We've already had this crisis of I could potentially die. You already know if you go back to Earth, you could potentially die because they want to assassinate you. Like, it was kind of just cheap writing again. You're like, we need conflict here. That's what it was. We need conflict again.
I don't get why he was pissed at Greg. Yeah, like it's we're gonna go out and we need you. You're back. We're gonna save. We're gonna go out and fight.
Yeah.
And then they fight, and he's pissed he had to fight. It's like, well,
that's what we said was gonna happen. And then you get that, like, look, I have a family, and Greg's wife is just looks exactly
he gets
like
over
Greg,
it.
but she wears a white dress, and it's cute.
He does get over it pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, he does. But
so Greg's wife, it was just the same actor, by the way. I saw that in the trivia.
Is it the same?
It's just him.
It's just him
again.
Just wearing a dress instead of the spacesuit thing that they wear.
And his 6,000 younglings or something, you said? Or like,
yeah. 6,000
Greeklings or something.
Good for you, Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, you and your wife, your spouse's healthy sex life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably like a tadpole situation where it's just like a big thing of eggs. He just has to like spray his stuff on, and I can't imagine that it's.
We're getting into alien physiology now.
Yes, let's talk alien sex for the next 20 minutes.
I am so down for that.
Okay.
So, like, bottom line, Greg fucks, right? Greg totally fucks.
He's got a lot of kids to prove it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll bet Greg is a very giving and enthusiastic lover.
He's got to be, though. Clearly, he pampers his wife. She did have that nice little fur collar on her. Liked it.
Yeah.
So to get back, he does the initial fight, and then he gets the idea from hiding in caves with his little brother, as they were talking about cave homes, I guess, to hide in the asteroid that they're in and let the Armada pass, and then attack it from behind where it'll be weakest, because this Armada doesn't know that you need to also defend your back. But
well, they think that everybody's gone now.
That is the truth. The Armada does think that the last Starfighter is dead because they get
the message.
They get the message. Beta is dealing with trying to go on a date with Maggie, and then also almost getting assassinated, getting discovered. That's what it is. He gets discovered that he is just a machine, and he stops a message from finishing to go through to the Kodan. There we go. To the Kodan people. And so the message basically is the last Starfighter is, and then Zur says, oh, clearly it's dead. Pretty much. He tells the Kodan it's dead. The last Starfighter's dead. And then, but between that, you get that scene in which, like, Beta Alex tells Maggie the truth, and Maggie's just like, okay.
Well, I think it helped. Yeah, like she was like, "What? This is." She didn't believe him, but then he gets shot,
and
his robot guts.
But even then, I'm just like, you didn't even want to leave your trailer park initially for your boyfriend to go to college, and you're just like, what? Okay. I guess I'll drive off with you to stop this thing from happening, and just, I don't know.
She needed answers. Like, she was really perplexed about what was happening.
I know.
Which, RIP Beta, pouring out for a real one, sacrificing yourself
Yeah, there's a lot of sacrificing in this.
I'm in the camp that synthetic life is life. Like if you're conscious and you're self-aware, you are living. You are a living thing. You're not just a robot or a machine.
I am that camp of that. Don't tell Mitch that.
I know. Yeah. He wait till Space Tribute 3 that I'm working on right now. That's all. It's not to like spoil it because it's still a ways away from publishing, but it's all about. I really go at like consciousness and what it means to be alive, and
yeah,
in a fun, humorous way with lots of drunken shenanigans and bathroom humor, but also deep shit too.
Yep, he sacrifices himself by crashing into the Zoodoo, whatever these Zandozans. All the bad guys start with an X or a Z, and they all sound the same.
Yeah, well, that's sci-fi shorthand, right? Like you want to be sci-fi, just use lots of X's and Z's.
X's and Z's, and
it reminds me of a Futurama joke that like doesn't get a lot of love. But you have college registration is going on Mars because one of the characters is Martian and going to visit her parents.
Yeah.
And you have like A through like J on one side, it's like all people. Then you have like whatever through like, I don't know, W, and it's like another line of people. And then like X, Y, and Z, and it's nothing but aliens. I was like, "That's great. That's a good joke."
I should rewatch. I should do a rewatch of that series.
I need to too. I was obsessed with that series for a while.
Yeah,
I was a huge shipper of Fry and Leia. What was her name?
Leela.
Leela was like huge, so I was happy when they got together. It was a problem, but I'm due for a rewatch of Futurama, especially after all these 80s sci-fi. I'll probably get a lot more references now than I did in the past too. So they get this. So Zur says the message is dead, even though the message was going to be is alive. So the Kodans think they're safe to just go and attack the Rylon planet for reasons why Kodans want to attack the Rylon planet. And this leads to Alex being able to sneak behind the Armada and quickly take out their communication relay, which is basically how everybody communicates and just keeps them from being good fighters, I guess.
There was some exposition where Greg was like, the way the Kodan fighters, they have this connection and they all can like fight as like one entity, like a hive mind or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Orson Scott's card, hive mind from
Ender's Game.
Ender's Game, thank you, John. But you don't quite get that too much with the Kodans, other than I guess the lower level Kodans do kind of seem like they're just pawns or computerized.
Are they robots? It's weird. It's like their chins look like the other Kodans, but then the one guy gets his helmet blown off, and it's like weird looking. Remember that? I don't know. It was very disturbing.
They're like cyborgs, I think. I think we're supposed to be led to believe that, especially the ones that work on like the bridge, like they're fused with their station. Like that's all they do. It's like they're like an organic component to their job, basically.
Yeah, but the two like Kodans in charge didn't seem anything like them.
Oh no, yeah, they're higher level.
Yeah, so
they were billionaires.
Yeah.
So he takes down the communication relay and then gets to the line of the, I guess, pawns, like the first fighters that'll come in, and he just kind of like goes and shoots them in a line, and he eventually has to use the button he was told not to press naturally.
The Omega 13.
That one, which basically just makes the ship spin in a circle and shoot a bunch of lasers.
Even when I was little, I called that the I win button. I was like, I mean, that's just the thing that you do when you want to just finish the level already.
Yep.
Death Blossom sounds like a version of that appetizer. Which chain is that has the which of those like
Outback?
No, Outback. That's what. Yeah,
Outback
like,
has the blossom.
Was it Outback,
onion.
Aperitifs, or Chili's? Yeah, Death Blossom just sounds like a version of that that's like super spicy. we put like ghost pepper in the batter, so like the Fettles are extra spicy.
Yeah.
I'm hungry now.
Try our Death Blossom.
I really want to try that.
Yeah. But it was kind of, and then when it's spinning, Alex is spinning in his chair, and I'm like, he is going to be nauseous. There's no way. Nope, he's perfectly fine. And I was like,
no, that's part of his power or his gift.
That's his Mary Sue.
He doesn't get motion sickness.
He doesn't get motion sickness through that.
That design also of his like gunner cockpit and the way it moved was also very Millennium Falcon Star Wars, like Luke and Han in the gunner seats, the way they like it'd swivel around and stuff. Which
swivel around.
Also, I mean, his shot to take out the turret too was very, Death Star, use the Force,
timing perfect. Yeah, that was very much like shoot now. Greg was very much the voice in his head telling him when to use the.
Mm-hmm.
He was the
Death
Force.
Blossom.
Obi Greg.
Yeah, great, and just it is very on the nose of that kind of theming, that zooming close to the bad ship and then boom, taking it out with the perfect shot, like no problem, and taking all these aliens out like with no problem. Then during this, the Kodans find out, of course, that Zur had lied, and they try to kidnap him or take him, I guess, prisoner. But Zur ends up escaping through a hatch. Or
I think it was an escape pod.
It's supposed to be an escape pod.
There's like a voiceover, I think, that played that was like escape pod deployed or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah, so Zur gets on a escape pod, but that is the last you're going to see from him. Alex ends up. How did they get the ship ends up flying into the moon?
Oh, it's so using the Death Blossom like drained all their power.
Yeah,
and then the command ship was like, "We're gonna ram them and blow them up, and just with our ship." And then Greg does some nifty engineering workaround to give them power at the last minute, and they fly out of the way.
Yeah. And
the ship gets caught by the moon. That part was the one effects part that was pretty rough.
That was very rough because once that ship got close to that big moon, they were about the same size.
Yes, I was gonna say that's either a really big effing ship or a really teeny tiny little moon.
Yeah,
like not big enough to have enough gravitational pull to pull it in. Because but I like that line where they're like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And he's just like, "We die."
We die. I was like, I was just like, oh my. That is what happens though.
I mean, they were also very like biting of the, I feel like of the Klingon. They were like ripping off that, like this very like, it was obvious they were going for like, these are honorable war peoples who are,
to die in battle is to have the best death, basically, and to receive honor in the afterlife.
Big that energy.
Yeah, I guess that is fair. I do also think this is where we're getting that these are not the only Kodans. Like, if they're okay to die like this, there clearly is more of them. They will still remain a issue for future sequels, if there is to be future sequels. Especially since they're escaped too. So it definitely was like, yay, Alex saved the day. We're going to celebrate on this planet and then return him to Earth. Or no, he's still the last Starfighter. Oh, we're going to offer him a job. That's what it is. Alex gets offered the job to be, I assume, to become like a colonel or a general, I guess.
He's going to run the Top Gun of gun stars.
Yeah, he's going to run and train all the gun stars, and they're going to build him again. But first, he has to go back to Earth to pick up his girl, who is loyal to the end and says, I love you to Beta Alex, too, before Beta Alex sacrifices himself. And you just... I think you get my favorite line too, where Greg is explaining like what Alex has done, and all these humans are just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's some old lady in the background going, oh, for heaven's sake, just what? And to me, this would never happen. This is not how this conversation would go. People would not just be shaking Grig's hand. I was just suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
That
Also,
last scene.
technically, they shouldn't be able to understand him because those people don't have that translator chip that Alex has.
Thank you. That's what I thought too. But I watched this with my parents. My parents were like, well, maybe Greg has the translator chip, so it's translating his language for them. And vice
Maybe
versa.
Greg just speaks English.
Get out of here with your logic, Jessica's parents.
I know, right? I was like, I don't need your logic. It doesn't make sense. Stop.
Or Alex's chip puts out a field. I don't know, like a radius.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the one.
None of the
Yeah.
technology really gets explained in here. You really don't get any background towards anything other than these bad guys, this annoying bad guy, and then these good guys just accept. That is the background.
Yeah.
Rylon good, Kodan bad, Zur bad. And that's all you get. I don't think you even really get why their Rylons and Kodans are fighting each other. But
Because
we
are Kodan and we conquer, and we are again actually somewhat problematic, brown skinned like warlike race, other
Yeah.
who are gonna attack the normal white people. Again, some underlying stuff in here, not great. And
Yeah.
Well, you do have to try to make it very black and white, I guess between the two.
Yeah, I guess. You also do get revealed that Centauri is alive as well. He was just napping to heal himself.
while his body healed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
recuperations, coma or something.
I get it. You want to give the actor his due. It's like he put his face back on. You see for a minute his like natural face again, but then he puts his human face back on. Which plot was like, why? But also I'm like, I don't mind it because Robert Preston is very charming and fun to watch in this role, and I love him. I love that him and Greg. I would watch more of them. They're great. I love that him are kind of two sides of the like mentor coin,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like Greg is like this more stoic. He still has a personality, but it's kind of this more like straight laced mentor, and then like Centauri is like the little bit more questionable. You don't know where he's coming from or his motives pure, but he also has his own advice and wisdom to impart.
It's the Jungle Book, Blue and Bagheera.
That is so good, Jessica. That is such a great. Yes, Baloo and Bagheera. Yes, they are Baloo and Bagheera. That's so good. I love that.
Yep.
Yes, that's
like Mowgli
phenomenal.
still needed both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well done. I'm really thank you.
Yeah. Maggie does choose to very last minute to go on the starship and go into space with her, I guess now future husband, I would assume. And as I mentioned before, as their ship is taking off, Alex's little brother starts to play the Starfighter game, and that's where you get it implied that maybe he's going to be in next Starfighter. And movie ends, and that's about it. That's all that happened from this film, as far as I know.
I love at the end when the ship's landing and the crowd of the trailer park's running out. There's the one like older lady's got a shotgun.
Yeah. Granny had a shotgun. Granny doesn't play. I'm pretty sure she was probably the one that say, "Oh, for heaven's sakes," to the just like he saved the planet. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be famous now because everybody's gonna know that this is the place that Alex and Maggie went into space, and I'm like,
yeah, that was a weird.
Nobody's gonna
comment.
know. Otis,
they're all gonna be all crazy.
Know. You're all gonna go to an insane asylum for speaking this.
Also,
It's gonna
that
be a government
thing was
shutdown
not
here.
designed for any passengers. Like, was she going to be sitting on his lap the whole way?
I mean, there was only room for Greg and Alex and her, so
Yeah.
I guess it's not very safe. I don't know. To me, it was very much like, I just couldn't help but thinking, and it could be because we live in a military town, and also I'm an army brat, but it's just very much the goes off to boot camp, comes back to get engaged, and leaves to go to wherever you're stationed right away scene to me. Like, Maggie is very much that military wife, that military girlfriend that all of a sudden becomes your wife right after boot camp.
Oh,
you gotta get ready, start cranking out those 6,000 little Alexes.
Yeah, it's just very, like, it's just, I don't know, Maggie to me, even though they were already dating beforehand, she just kind of feels like a prize, I guess. Like, but
she feels too good for him. I don't know. She's like nice, and I don't know. He's just kind of whiny, and man, we for generations have really loved like our whiny male protagonists and still get everything. Just
it's that male fantasy. We want to be whiny and get our way.
Yeah, I was always a Han Solo girl, not a Luke Skywalker. I was usually, I remember when I was a kid, I was upset Luke was the Jedi and not Han, because I was like,
that would be great.
At least Han's not
who, like,
whiny.
thinks they're going to be the chosen one, and they're like, no, you suck, and it's like,
If you want to see how that would have played out,
what?
If you want to see how that would have played out, there is a comic that explores the what if Han Solo became a Jedi instead of Luke.
That would have been interesting.
It was. He trains with Yoda, learns the Force, fights Vader. It's really crazy.
Yeah. I don't. But I was also one of the people that when everybody was upset that Luke Skywalker just ran away to an island to live out the rest of his days drinking blue milk, I was like, this is exactly what Luke Skywalker would do. Were you not watching the same movie I was? He was whiny and complained. He would have ran away from his responsibilities the minute he could. Come on.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, I love The Last Jedi, and yes, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
We can get it. I get it with people all the time. Like, no, you're wrong. Sorry.
No, you're wrong. Sorry. It was good for the franchise to try to switch
everything
it up.
you've built up in your head about like what a badass Luke is in your head.
Yes.
It's not like
it really is.
Yeah.
Leia,
I mean, I saw
I
badass Luke in The Mandalorian, and I was
well,
like,
yes, that was pretty awesome. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can have badass moments, but still not be a badass. There is a difference.
Yes.
But I just pissed off a lot of people. Probably.
Do not add Jessica. Leave her alone. You trolls. You can come for me. I can take it. I'm at the padded words. You want to, start something, bring it. I'm okay.
All right. So, random question to go along with this movie that I have for you guys. If the arcade game that you feel like you were absolutely best at became a recruitment device, what would you be recruited to do?
Fight the Shredder and the Foot Clan, because it's Ninja Turtles, in time.
Turtles.
I was just thinking that too, Ninja Turtles. For me, that's a good question, because I played a lot of video games. It's hard to narrow down which one I was absolutely best at.
I tried to say arcade. I specifically am doing arcade because I know video games is going to be way too much. I specifically
went to like big box arcade games.
Yeah, putting your quarters in, or the swipe cards now, or whatever it is now. Just.
I was about to say, man, but now they're back with the bars. At those bars that have them, but
no, I think that's true. I think Ninja Turtles was probably the arcade.
We would travel through time together.
It wasn't even that. It was the first one before that. The first one was the one I played.
Oh, the really first one. Oh, yeah. So you guys would be Ninja Turtles. Yeah. I would be a Starfighter probably, because mine was Galaga. So that was probably the one I was best at. The one I enjoyed playing the most, though, was The Simpsons game.
That would be terrifying to be in.
That's good too.
So John,
That
what?
would be scary.
I want to go back to the turtles though. John, which one? Who are you gonna be? Who's your?
So this changed over time. So growing up, I was 100% ride or die with Raphael.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
as
You
I
were
got
cool but rude.
yes, well, one of those. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten to really appreciate Donatello a lot more, and I feel like
I
that's
can
really
see
more
that.
my vibe.
I get some Donnie vibes from you.
Yeah. Plus, I like the big stick more.
Uh-huh.
Don't read into that too much.
Okay. No, I guess yeah.
So who did you play as, Pat? Who were your choices?
Mikey or Michelangelo.
Michelangelo?
I definitely got a surfer vibe.
All right. So, any more comments? Anything we must say? Well, I guess I did see the last Starfighter. They were thinking about doing a sequel a few years ago, but it's been dropped.
It's been on
They
and
didn't
off
even
with
get
it.
to the planning phase. Like they didn't even know what it was going to be about. If it was going to be his little brother or his son that would take
I was
over.
gonna say, is everyone still? I mean, we know Robert Preston passed. Is
Yeah.
Zur alive? Because you want him to come. That was just so weird. A weird choice. They not even weird. I feel like it's. I want to look through the trivia and troll through it because they had to have been like, this is going to be a thing. This is going to be a series.
Mm-hmm.
Because to have Zur get away, and the last you see of him is him getting into the escape pod, and you see nothing of him after that.
Yeah.
There had to be a plan or some thought for that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
Was this a box office fail or, I mean, because it used CGI technology. I don't know if I assume that was expensive at the time. So I'm wondering if this was a box office fail.
It made money. I'm on IMDb. It's estimated. This is just estimated. Estimated budget was $15 million,
Mm-hmm.
and it grossed almost $29 million. So not like crazy, but it made its money back. Who knows what they spent on marketing, or if that $15 million includes marketing or not. But it made its money back. It wasn't like crazy, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a decent hit, but it wasn't like it didn't make Ghostbusters money, in '84,
It
which
probably
came out
just
the same
came
year.
out at the bad time then. It was probably a timing thing. Other sci-fi things were more successful.
Yeah, I don't think it was super well reviewed by critics. I saw one like original Roger Ebert review from when it came out that was pretty not
Nice.
not complimentary. Yeah.
No, yeah, he hates everything though.
Yeah. Wow.
This one, I feel like this movie though, for a select group, was very formative because we were discussing prior to the podcast that the book by Ernest Cline called Armada.
Oh yeah.
It's the second book by the author of Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially The Last Starfighter, except it's meta, so it references movies like Star Wars and The Last Starfighter within it. But it's literally like a government program to find the best people who could pilot these new starfighter ships. The only difference it's the U.S. military that's putting on the Excalibur program instead of some alien federation from another galaxy. But literally the same thing. And interesting thing to note, so Will Wheaton, who did the audiobook for both Ready Player One and Armada, is also in this movie.
Yeah, he's one of the little brother's friends. He's like just in the background though. Yeah.
He's in the background, and I don't think he has any lines in the movie, but he is credited in the movie.
His lines were cut. I remember reading that his lines were cut.
Yeah.
So
the little brother had friends? I didn't remember seeing anyone. Oh.
Yeah, they're really brief. Like
just the other kids in the park. Just
I didn't see. I mean, I didn't really. I mean, yeah, like in the background maybe.
Yeah, it's one of those situations like in The Wizard with the Super Mario Brothers 3 and all that. Fred Savage, Tobey Maguire is one of the bad guy's friends in the background.
Oh, really?
And he doesn't have any lines, but you can clearly see him with his little mullet. Like, oh, little baby Tobey Maguire.
Wow.
Like, little did he know he'd be swinging on a whip someday. I also did want to mention that this writer, who was inspired by the Arthurian legend, Once and Future King, and so on.
Uh-huh.
Later went on to write and direct another movie that we've done here on VHS Gems called My Science Project.
Yep.
It's one of my cultish favorites, just because it's kind of a wacky movie. And then also went on to write and direct Theodore Rex, which, if you're familiar with this one, it's the Whoopi Goldberg buddy cop dinosaur movie.
Yeah, what?
Buddy cop dinosaur movie.
That's a movie that it's like, does it actually exist? Does that movie actually exist?
It's like a fever dream. Even when you watch it, it's like, what just happened? Because you can't believe, first of all, that they put that much money into this. A big star who at that time was still like writing pretty big
was 95,
was attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, what? Yeah, this is one of those weird, how did this get made kind of movies. And it pretty much ruined his career. Like, I don't think he did anything really big after that, other than like maybe some small behind the scenes things. Yeah, like doesn't have any other writing or directing credits after that one.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad. I kind of don't. Don't make Theodore Rex. I don't like.
Well, I mean, Theodore Rex is probably not even one of the worst dinosaur movies out there. There's Tammy and the T-Rex with what's his name? The guy that was
I never heard of that.
Oh man, you have to check that out then. Tammy and the T-Rex stars Denise Richards and the guy that played Brian in Fast and the Furious movies.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the photos for it, and this just looks like like softcore porn is what it looks like to me.
No, it has a little bit of
weird.
It has PG sexuality in it.
Okay, but the poster.
So let me give you the rundown of this movie. So Paul Walker gets killed, and a mad scientist is trying to bring his cybernetic T-Rex dinosaur robot to life. So he goes and steals Paul Walker's brain, puts it in this robot dinosaur, and the dinosaur then starts going around getting revenge on the people that killed him.
But the T-Rex is like holding. I don't.
No, this T-Rex
is like his girlfriend, or was his girlfriend, or something.
Yes.
Oh.
And spoiler alert: there's a scene where she basically does a striptease for him when he's just a brain in a jar, and
you're not.
The brain starts to spark.
Okay.
Yeah, I love these really bizarre movies for some reason.
That sounds very pulpy. It sounds very like in the vein of like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, except I think they were trying to make a legitimate like thriller kind of a movie. Mm-hmm. It's just something that went completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that.
The special effects are terrible, like absolutely terrible. Like you can tell that they probably got this dinosaur robot on loan from like an amusement park, because it's always on the stand. Anytime you see it moving, it's only from like the waist up.
Oh god. Oh, okay. Where were we? Oh, so that's what the writer. I did see Atari was going to try to make the last Starfighter arcade game or video game. I don't think it ever really was released, but you can supposedly still find very, very rare copies of it.
Oh,
there was a prototype that they renamed into something else, and honestly, if anything lent itself to being made into a video game, it absolutely 100% was this. Because the graphics weren't that far removed from the 1970s Star Wars arcade game, right down to like using vector graphics. Yeah. This would have been perfect for that. And yet, it just never materialized.
Yeah, Atari said they didn't have the technology to be able to do it yet, but I was like, but you guys could.
That's BS. They totally could have done it.
I feel like you could have, but.
I mean, they could have just made like a top-down version like Galaga, and it still would have been something.
When was the fall of Atari, though? Was it the end of the 80s, or was it mid-80s?
That was 83.
Oh, so maybe that's why. Maybe they were just starting to...
Yeah, the video game crash happened right at 83. As a matter of fact, some people think that may have contributed to this movie not doing so great, was because it came right after the big video game crash because of the E.T. game that came out. And basically bankrupted Atari. So yeah, people were like not that keen into arcades, video games as much when this came out. It was kind of seen as like, no, like those things will like ruin you. And yeah, probably why it came out right during this little gap where we weren't paying that much attention to games anymore until Nintendo came out the year later, and then just
Yeah.
completely changed the market for it.
Huh. Well, I guess it makes
Somebody needs to
sense.
get on it. Like, make this game with like this could be a cell phone game at this point with like the level of technology we have. Make it a mobile game.
Well,
I'll play it.
Well, we can learn how to code and then get the permissions, and then we could become rich, John.
Only if I don't know if he's still with us. Only if Dan O'Hurley is Greg and is giving me giving you like pointers.
He has to be the voice.
The voice and
like like in like Star Fox, where it's like, oh yeah, I need him I need him popping up and I need him popping up and giving me like pointers or tips or like instructions. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's true.
It needs to be in combat missions, Grig, and then non-combat missions, it's Centauri.
Yeah,
like, navigating the Star League society. Now, okay, I've come back around. I'm with John. I want that game. I need that game. I want a game with my two sci-fi uncles to be my guides through this different.
I'm gonna say this like it's easy, but I know it's probably takes some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you could even take the old 90s X-Wing or TIE Fighter games and just do a mod where you reskin it. Don't change anything about the game engine. Just make the graphics look more like you're in a Gunstar instead of an X-Wing. And your display, your heads-up display, just match that.
Yeah.
And you're set. Because that literally is the same thing as doing that. I mean, maybe if you want to modernize it so it also works with Oculus Rift, you can get yourself into one of those little... Do they still have those gyroscopic harnesses that you can get into and you like rotate in all directions like Lawnmower Man? Man, that's another one we got to cover someday.
Oh no.
Do you though?
Well, just the first one, not the sequels.
There's sequels?
Oh yeah, there's more than one. The first one's got Pierce Brosnan and I can't remember the name of the other guy. Jeff Fahey? Fahey? I think so.
Yeah, just Jeff Fahey. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It's okay.
Why do I do this podcast?
Because people need to listen.
People need to listen. People need to know whether or not these old VHS are gems or not. And I had a good time watching this. I do consider this maybe not a diamond, but like a garnet or an opal.
It's a topaz.
It's a topaz.
A big one though. It's got a lot of carats.
It's not as shiny, but it's still pretty good. Could use some improvement, some polishing though.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, it was all the stuff we talked about, or if you want to, you can definitely pull the part apart. You can definitely pull the plot apart without too much effort, but it wasn't boring.
Yeah.
To watch.
It had some good character writing, I would say. Mainly side character writing, but
yeah.
Greg was excellent, Centauri was excellent. The little trailer park community was just adorable too.
Right.
And some of the beta stuff was weird, but the kind of just the humor of the beta stuff was interesting. With the little brother and the Playboy magazine references and all that stuff. Yeah. Just go to bed, or else I'm gonna tell mom this. It was just a fun watch. Turn your brain off watch though. Don't nitpick this one. What do you think? If you want to
find flaws, you will.
We say them. As we just nitpicked it for now.
Yeah, I know.
No, yeah. One of the things that I really liked about this growing up, without even realizing it, is that as someone that grew up in or around trailer parks, I was like, yeah, that feels very like home. It was like I definitely have that mentality. it's detrimental, and I don't know why it is that we have this, but I've seen this also done in other movies. Waiting is one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
With Justin Long and Ryan Reynolds, and there's a scene in Waiting that really felt like it kicked me in the ass because I was like, "Holy shit! Like this is it. This is the problem." And it's essentially the last Starfighter fantasy of
Uh-huh.
somebody recognizing your talent or your skill and
Yeah.
then recruiting you for that. Where Justin Long is serving like a bunch of businessmen and he impresses one of them because he has a really good memory.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, like, I like this guy. Let me give him my business card. I hope he calls me because I want to talk to him about his future." And Justin Long at first is excited because I was like, "Oh, wow, like, what could this possibly be for?" And then he crumbles up the business card because he's just a manager from a different restaurant. They just thought, "Oh, you would be, I could use you at my place." That's what it is. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, damn. Yeah. Like waiting till somebody actually sees the good in you is pointless. You have to go out there and take it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that 20 years ago. I still haven't applied it, but someday.
I know the lesson. I just it's
That is my
doing the
problem.
lesson that I have an issue.
Application, yes, is how to make it work that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that's what
See,
it's like to
therapy.
be a millennial nowadays. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
40 is the new
therapy.
30.
Yes. Make affordable therapy. Affordable therapy. Yeah. There we go. So
Anyways.
anything else? The Last Starfighter? Any last? We're ready to wrap this up. I think we're ready to wrap this up.
I think we're good. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Pat, for joining us. It was an honor
thanks for
to
having
have
me.
you. Where can people find you?
Yeah. So I am most active online on Twitter at the Pat Edwards. But everything's the same across, Instagram is at the Pat Edwards. My website is thepatedwards.com. I'm most active there, and I can do a quick rundown of the stuff I do.
Yes.
And so when does this episode come out? Roughly.
John, what was just released? You know more than I do. I cannot keep up.
I can make it easy. Is it going to be before or after October 5th?
I think it's going to be before.
It's going. If you were, I'll do both. If you are listening to this before October 5th, 2021, you can pre-order this new version of my first novel, Space Tripping, and if you go to my Twitter at thepatedwards.com and go to the link on my pinned tweet, it takes you to my publisher, Black Rose Writing, and you can pre-order the book before October 5th and use the code pre-order 2021, all one word, to get 15% off. If it's after October 5th, it's out. It's everywhere. You can buy it from the publisher directly, Black Rose Writing, or Amazon, or your local bookstore, Barnes & Noble. Like, go get it. Or, it'll be paperback, ebook, audiobook, a new version of the audiobook. So Space Tripping was released, the first book, a few years ago. I've changed publishers. We re-released it. There's a new short story at the end of this version that's not in the original version. And then the sequel, Space Tripping 2, The Chaser, is going to come out in December of 2021 and also become available for pre-order October 5th.
All right.
So that was really, but go to thepatedwards.com or at the Pat Edwards, because I write also independent like D&D books, and I had this huge epic campaign called the Red Opera last year that's now out and available. I was hired by a metal band, a band called Dia Morte. We turned their album into a campaign. This is massive 200,000 word campaign book, but that has music, like a soundtrack to it, and you can go buy that. Tons of custom classes, original classes and items and things like that out there. Check that out. You like movies, from this era, listen to Let's Rewatch. Our format's a little different. What we do is we're going to talk about a movie we haven't seen in a while. We talk about it for a little bit, having not watched it yet. Pause the recording, go watch it, right, and then right then and there, and then come right back seconds after finishing it to talk about it in the moment, like fresh, like so it's kind of like there's two halves of the show. There's like before we watch it, and we make bold predictions, like this movie's gonna suck, or this movie's gonna rule, and then we come back like I was totally right or I was totally wrong. But check out Let's Rewatch.
Yeah, really, really close to what we do. Although you do more modern flicks too, though.
Yeah, it's not even that hard a fast to roll. We like them to be at least 10 years old, the movies, so we can still do pretty recent movies. Or sometimes we'll bend the rules for certain reasons or not. Yeah.
Alrighty. So that's where you can find Pat. John, where can people find you?
If you must, you can find me on Twitter. I am at MagicBollocks.
And you can find me on Twitter as at Bailey Writes. You can find archives of this podcast and other podcasts that John and I are on geekelitemedia.com. You can also find us as at Geek Elite Media on Twitter and Instagram, and facebook.com/Geek Elite Media. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you are listening to this podcast. It's a huge help. And if interested, please join us on our Patreon page, Geek Elite Media there, where you can get early access to episodes and some bonus action sneak peeks, fun, random stuff that we do sometimes. And until then, this is VHS Gems. Always remember to geek out. Sorry, Pat, I forgot to tell you. We end with a geek out.
Geek out. Editor, put that in. Mitch, with you. Do it.
This concludes our broadcast.